Pledge of Allegiance. Moment of silence. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Everyone, stand. All right. So let's see. Item 2. Corrections or amendments you see. Motion. Second. Second, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? Carries. Item 3, citizen comments. So this is opportunity citizens to share their opinion on any topic that should have been discussed in the meanwhile, questions, respond to the comments, direct to the committee, council, speaker, the time to speaker will ask to serve the podium and with their name and address. Are you willing to get a comment out or are you waiting until 4A? It's up to you. I guess I'm going to prepare comments. I will answer questions during the meeting if that's appropriate. You're going to be able to answer the question. You're going to have questions, not only comments. So I think you should probably let us off waiting until 4A. That's right. That's so we will close citizen comments. 4A is discussion about the action regarding obtaining easements from 219 Park Avenue and 227 Park Avenue to relocate Drive 4 Stonesworth Pipe restoration. Dave, I guess we will start with you.
Oh yeah, do you want to turn your microphone? That's all right.
Yeah, I picked it up somewhere. So this item has been on the agenda a few times. I did contact your neighbors, Jamie, Fox Revocable Trust is the property owner, and then your Steve and Mary Hook, to see if there was going to be any change in movement on signing the easements prior to the meeting. And I did get in touch with Jamie and her husband, and they still wanted concrete restoration over the pipe and didn't want to sign the easement. I invited them to come tonight, but they had some other commitment. So you said that you might come to express some comments and that you maybe would sign the easement. So I did put this on the agenda in case the committee wanted to respond at all to any comments that you have.
Steve, you just want to come to the podium. Yeah. And then just give your name and address for the record.
Steve Hook, 227 Park Avenue. My wife and I have the easement signed. We'll turn it in. Since the pipe runs under essentially the property line, I think it's the concrete replacement is putting more of a Kyle and Jamie issue than it is ours. Our issue is the fact that over the years, and this issue started probably, the first time I sent pictures to the village was in 2019, so this has been, it started out with just water accumulating in the street, and then slowly after the rain stops, it would go away. We kind of knew that the pipe was obstructed somehow, whether it was animals obstructing it or a broken pipe or something like that, we didn't know. But I think I told Dave and his people that with a long pipe, I could reach up from the end of the lake. I could reach up and I could feel that it was obstructed. But, and it was essentially at the same part that we are now seeing water bubble up from. In about 2021 was when the water started first appearing on in the concrete cracks. So it had worn away, it washed away enough to where the pipe was broken to now it's blown out pretty freely. Once the heavy rain starts, the water is coming from the street through the pipe, and now it's coming up through the cracks in the concrete. And we don't know how far that cavity is extending, because there are two concrete walls on either side of the concrete bed that's there now. So water comes from everywhere. I do have pictures if you wanted to see, because I know I've only sent videos to Dave on about what happens when it rains. So that's my concern, is that something gets done as quickly as possible, because I don't want my yard to be as slowly rolling into the lake underneath the fire, underneath the seawall. But I haven't had an opportunity to know what Jamie and Kyle's goal is here. I know that they spoke about wanting things to be replaced the way that they are. If that would happen on ours, it would involve the concrete wall that's there, and there are bushes and stuff along the side that don't appear like they're sinking down into behind the wall. But I guess that nobody would know until it's sawed and we see what the pipe is like. So my goal is to get repaired as quickly as possible. So your issue then becomes whatever Jamie and Kyle are going to hold the village to as far as wanting to sign their easement. And I can't speak for them, so I don't know.
We've been discussing this now for the better part of 4 months, I don't know, a year, 2, something like that. I know the board gave, I think the majority of the board, if not everyone, gave their opinion the last time. Did everyone review it this time? And normally we know now between when we have a room signing the easement and one seeming reluctant, unless we meet the requirements. What is the board's recommendation at this point? Has anything changed?
Sorry if I don't remember, if I wouldn't know, who's responsible for the concrete, putting concrete block on top of it, and who is responsible for that cost?
So that's, so yeah, if we were to restore wood concrete as 219, correct? Jamie and Kyle are 219. If Jamie and Kyle want, that would be our cost.
And why is it our cost? Why was a concrete driveway put over the pipe to begin with? Sorry if I'm not...
No, you're asking all the right questions, because that's the issue. And that was kind of the stance that the board took the last time, that if this was a new permit put in front of the Village Public Works to put a new driveway over this, there's no way that would be granted. There's not enough soil between the pavement and the pipe. There's not enough, there's too much water infiltration on both ends to warrant secure ground underneath it. And so there's no way, and I'm not speaking with Public Works, but I don't see there's any way that Public Works would approve a new permit for a driveway over the storm sewer.
Yeah, there's very minimal. Normally you want to have cover, which is crushed stone over any pipe to protect it from the pavement, because when people drive on it, and the vehicle in that weight then gets directly transferred right onto the pipe, and it could be the reason that.
So at the end of the pipe, the driveway and the pipe meet.
Yeah, so there's no cover.
There's no cover.
Yeah, so there's no way that cover would ever get approved. So how would we, in good conscience, spend village money to restore something that would never legally be approved in the first place?
Well, there's still a major likelihood of it happening again. So why are we going to recover this with...
Right, because if you put it back, and even if you say don't drive on it or park cars on it, there's probably a 1% chance that they're not going to drive or park cars on it if it's paid. So that was the consensus. Well, last just came out, right, that it was not good. Logistically, what happens if you have one neighbor that's willing to sign in, and one that doesn't?
So the majority of the work's gonna be on Jamie's and Kyle's property. I included a short, using my own property, just because I don't know how far we have to cut out. I'm not really anticipating us cutting your property, but there's a small chance.
Yeah. And honestly, I don't even think the pipe is extended to ours, but it's just, ours is just in the runoff from the wash away from storms.
Yeah, I think we're at the point where we have to rip the Band-Aid off and do the job, because now it's becoming a nuisance and gonna start snowballing to more property damage or anything else. So like we just have to make a decision and stand by it. And unless somebody has a compelling argument of why we should change what we kind of came to the conclusion to last time, I think we kind of stick with that. Thoughts? Anything? We're not doing concrete, right? Because, we're concerned about how it's going to hold up, so, why would we do that and then be responsible for it long term? Right. I mean, I'm on board with moving forward and fixing it the way, in a suitable manner that we're comfortable, right?
But how does that work with the easements if we don't?
Yeah, that's run by the question for Administrator Heiser. So if now we're in a situation where obviously we're not going to meet their demands, what's our next step in order to get work done? I mean, does it go towards the route of eminent domain?
So I brought that up to our village attorney, and this is just, also from my experience, it's best if the two parties can work on an agreement, and we don't have to go down that route, because that's just messy and costs a lot of money, and that could probably take a year just to do that. And then it's not a fun process at all.
And are they aware that it's only going to get worse?
I don't know, I wasn't there, you discussed it with them, I talked with you, sounded really loud.
I said that, I said, would you be willing on easement to agree never to park over this ever again, even if we put concrete? He said no.
Right. So I mean, even if he said yes, I wouldn't trust it, and I wouldn't agree with it. Yeah, you have your first barbecue and 5 friends show up, they're going to pull all the way out.
There's no reason to have the concrete there if you don't sign a park.
Boy, so board is standing pat with not doing restoration of concrete just for longevity of the pipe and for protecting the village assets.
Unless we enter into a very secure agreement that they are responsible for any repairs and that we bring it back up to grade in any future repairs, and then the property owners are responsible for any.
Transferable.
Right, that's the only way, but then we're going into a pretty extensive contract with the property owners.
Right.
Too. So it's still not my preferred method, but
I'm sure the village doesn't let those.
that's the only other option we're going over our system like that.
Yeah, because it would have to come down to 100% responsibility on the property owner for repairs going forward, and it would be our sole discretion on repairs in the future.
Yes.
Hopefully we can, after this, between this meeting and the next public works meeting, maybe you can try to deal with the neighbor and see if anybody's willing to.
Yeah, I don't know what the room is here. My own opinion, I don't know why they want concrete back there.
I understand, they have same as you have a 1-car deep driveway.
Oh, yeah, from the house back.
Yeah, so I understand, they have a couple friends over, it's great to have off-street parking for 2 or 3 cars, or, putting a boat lift there in the winter, I get that. But less grass to mow, sure, But when it comes down to it, this seems like a tough hill to die on, when it's just going to harm their property, you know, so.
I did propose another half medium point of, you know, how far they have to cut back, to then do just a straight down concrete wall and seal it around the edges. And then so the pipe would be exposed, you wouldn't, you know, drive over the pipe, but at least those concrete areas would be sealed off. And he wasn't okay with that either.
Well, your plan was not to tear up all the way back.
Yeah, I understand that we're trying to appease the homeowner, but when it comes down to it, it eventually is going to have to be a coming to Jesus movement for him. And, you know, we can't sit here and keep bending over backwards to try to accommodate stuff that we would not approve normally. And on top of it, would increase costs to the village. So, I don't know if we're just looking for staff direction or motion, or what were we on this?
I think we would just, well, we could just say to something along the lines of just continue to try to negotiate with the property owner on the easement. Whatever we decide, I still have to bring it back to the committee, so I can't. Yes, that's the finalizing the easement anyways.
That's the problem, let's just delay it another 3 months.
I did invite him to the next meeting already.
Well, I mean, this board isn't wavering, so I don't know if there's a way that we can make a motion to recommend to the village board, and then all future issues with this will be handled at a board level. Because, I don't know, just because we're not wavering, we're not going to change our opinion. If it comes back with, you know, edible arrangements for each of us, we're not going to put concrete over this. So, is there any way we can circumvent delaying this another 3 months? No, it's already.
With your cameras, did you both on the street side?
Yes. So I sent,
So the water pipe is intact, at least in front of the houses?
About 7
and I can send that to you if you want to see the video. I sent it to the property owner, or the neighbor also.
I'm just preparing my case for talking with them.
Yep. We paid $1,500.
I don't know how far the pipe goes that it's intact, so that if you dig from the lake back,
Right.
then that's how much concrete they lose.
Yep, I had marked it on the ground, so he could see.
Yeah, at this point, we're throwing good money after bad money at this learning time, so, I guess we'll just put on the agenda for the next meeting and try to make outreach.
And if there's a sudden change of heart, we can't come.
Or do we even, if he agrees to sign the easement, do we even need to make the motion? Can we make the motion now to restore with no concrete, pending approval of the easements? So if he signs it next week, it just moves forward?
Yeah, I think you can do that contingent.
Yeah. Will we make that motion? That way, you know, at least it doesn't hold us up another 3 months, and, you know, we've drawn the line in the sand, so. I mean, I guess I can make it. I'll make a motion to approve the pipe reconstruction and restoration with no concrete overlay, contingent upon easement signing from the property owner. I'll second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries. Thanks. Just that way we can, if he has a enlightening moment, maybe we can delay, or we won't be delayed then.
Thank you.
All right, next item, the internet is slowly getting, I'm finally getting it technical. Next item, discussion of possible action regarding planned maintenance at DPW building. Is this Jay or Dave?
It's me. I'm gonna move quick on this one just to try to pick up some time. So it's kind of been another one of those ones that keeps appearing on the agenda, but the roof, we're still working on that. Jay has met with some contractors to get ready for future inspections. Number 2, we're working on, I also met with the contractor on our doors. A bunch of the doors aren't closing good at the DPW building, so we we're working on having those fixed. Also, there's some areas along the bank that are exposed soil that we're going to just be doing some seeding work back there to try to help get some vegetation on there. So there's really not anything else we have to talk about on this, JD. Is there anything else you wanted to say?
So this is on the agenda for approval of the door ceiling, and, I'm sorry, what was number 3? As my agenda now went away.
Yeah, the seeding.
The seating. And then the roof, that's just continuing.
And I had the architect out there, I contacted Liner, and they said they would get a hold of me, but they did not get back to me. So, we talked about possibly putting some membranes and taking on some installations so that it gets drains going again.
Yeah.
It just kind of keeps falling on deaf ears.
Okay.
The nation's really didn't seem to want to help.
But yet you have to still keep using them in order to keep the warranty.
Well, we're doing a great on the maintenance plans.
Right. Okay.
I think we're okay, but, yeah.
All right, so then it's action item for number 2 and 3 of the seating and the door seals. Yeah.
So some of the doors, you can see when they get that jammed, they're not getting squarely. So I've been trying to pay more attention to the gas bill. And I can, some of the walls are all loose, and they've got the auto locks on, the scan and everything, but they just don't hold tight, so some of them have a lot of ice on them, you can see light through them. Unfortunately, I'm just trying to figure out another way to save money, so.
Maybe we'll have this all fixed within the next 28 years and pay it off, which seems highly irregular. As a door contractor, it's like, you shouldn't be having any issues at all, let alone 2 years. Okay, action, I will make a motion to recommend approval, because this will go to the village board by right.
This is just maintenance, the $2,000, and it's below our threshold of 15. Okay. So we don't really technically, we don't need to go to the village board for approval. We just wanted to just share some of the things we're dealing with. That's all.
The heartburn of the new building? Mm-hmm. Okay, is anyone like to make a motion on approving? I move to approve, moving forward with door repair and soil restoration. Second. Motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carries. Okay, next item, new business, discussion and possible action regarding design fee change order for Prospect Ave.
So we're working on the design right now for Prospect Avenue project. It's probably going to be next year at this point. And that goes from Main Street up to the top of the hill, which is School Street. There was one new thing that has come up is there was a section of water main in there that we had planned on not relaying. Our GIS had showed it to be 1995 vintage, and so we weren't going to relay it. Through the course of looking at some of the old as-bills that weren't tied to our GIS, we found it was actually installed in 1970, and so we do want to relay that as part of the project when we put down the new road. And so it's going to involve some additional survey work and extending out the limits of our project further towards, I guess, Maple Street, that direction, to the south, for, I think, 300 feet. So it's going to involve a little more survey and design for this water main. So the engineer did send us a changeover to increase the design fee for that by, I think it was $6,000, something like that. Sorry, 10? was $7,000. Yeah, $7,000 for the water main.
Oh, 10 for the sidewalk.
So that's part one. And we know we need to do that. For sure. Part two is a little bit more of a discretion of this committee. And so previously at Board of Public Works and Safety meeting, I was able to attend maybe 6 months ago. We had decided to not install sidewalk on the southeasterly side of the street, so on the school side of Prospect, and that's okay. I just wanted to bring it up to the committee so that they could decide, because there's no sidewalk there right now. There is sidewalk on the other side of the street. But one thing has changed since I brought that up the last time, was that at that time, we thought our GIS was showing that the property line was right at the edge of asphalt. So we had thought that we needed at least a 12-foot easement or right-of-way acquisition all along Prospect Avenue in order to put in the sidewalk. And also to shift those those utility poles that are along there. We thought the energies would need to acquire easements along there. So one thing that has changed now that the engineers work on the plans and the surveyors, they found the right-of-way line is actually much further back. So, and it's 12 feet difference from what our GIS had shown. So if you were standing out at the bottom of the hill where Lake Street, where you turn Lake Street News Prospect, there's that sidewalk that extends up 100 feet. If you just follow that sidewalk, would follow right up the hill and be in a right-of-way without having to acquire any right-of-way from any property owners. And so, even though you said you didn't really want to do it the last time, which is fine, I did want to bring it back to let you know that we could do it, or we don't have to do it, but it would cost, you would have to do more design to do that, so that's what the additional $10,000 design is. And so we could design the plans for that is one, that's what the 10,000 is for. Now, another option is, so we could also install it with our project. Now, just to pay for the sidewalk is a different issue. The village has an ordinance that sidewalk can be assessed to the property owner, so that's one. So one possibility is just to grade the area, so we could possibly put sidewalk in the future. Some of those residents along there have extended their retaining walls out into the right-of-way, and so we would remove those, and we would pay a contractor to reinstall them outside the right-of-way. But they have encroached themselves into the right-of-way. Are they aware at this point? I haven't contacted anybody.
They're watching right now.
So, and that happens. People do build into the right-of-way. So we could just grade for future sidewalk to easily be installed later, as part of a different project, or we could put it in on this project. We could assess for it. Another thing that I had done was last fall, I had applied for a TAP grant from the DOT. It's called a Safe Path to School grant, and I had submitted for it, and then we had that last Public Works meeting where you said you didn't want to do it, so I didn't continue with that, but it was in the system, unfortunately. Now I've taken it out, but that happens every 2 years. And then, so that's another option, to pay for it, then you wouldn't have to do an assessment to the residents if you didn't.
I think the assessment to the residents is the smaller of the fee that's going to be incurred by undertaking this project, because the grading and the replacement of retaining walls is going to be large.
What's their responsibility on that if they're encroached in on our right of way?
He's the last guy.
I mean, are they responsible if we were to go and say we're doing this? Are they responsible for?
Well, one option is we could contact them and say, hey, you know what, we're going to be doing this project. If you want to remove anything you've planted in the right of way, and I do that on Glacier Road, I sent them a letter. I said, if you have any plantings in the right of way, there's anything you want to remove, you can go and move it out before we come.
But not saying, but like retaining wall.
Yeah, that's a lot of work, yeah, right. They might just choose not to, it depends how excited they are to have, participate and cooperate with us. Yeah. Some of the properties will need some grading easements, like temporary grading easements, to grade a little bit back on their properties. But the power poles and the sidewalk can all be placed in the right of way.
I was gonna say, that's my question is, are we intending to move those power poles off of 1 foot off of the street now and push another, we know we have 12 feet there, are we anticipating?
Yeah, so we can center them in the terrace, which would be like in between the sidewalk and the back curb, and the curb. So that's not going to be an issue. That will help streamline things, because the energies wouldn't have to go and get easements outside the right of way. So,
Thoughts? Would the green cover the entire cost?
so the grant would cover, well, you can get grading and concrete included in that, yeah. You can't get easement acquisition, so we don't need that anymore, and that's the reason I had to stop doing it, because I didn't have the easements, and the board didn't want to do it. So, if that's an unknown, if I would get the grant, but usually in areas near schools, they want kids to have a safe path to school, so it's like a good candidate for that. Pretty good chance. Yeah, it would be better if we did, when you come through and do a project like this, if you do the grading, just set it up for future sidewalk is the best way to do it. You just get those, remove all that stuff out of the right of way, and you grade it so that the area could be set up for future sidewalk.
I'm torn. Because of the proximity to the school and downtown in general, and the fact that there's already a sidewalk that starts up that street and then just ends. Yeah, sidewalk to nowhere. I think it would be nice to have it, and the sidewalk on the other side of the street is, I've walked it quite often, you pretty much feel like you're walking on the street. So I guess I'd like to minimum look at at least getting it graded for potential future. Obviously, if we can get a grant for it, that would be ideal. I just think in general, as far as this whole area needs to be more accessible to bikes and walking, and even past School Street, which we've talked about before. I do think it's kind of crazy that we don't have, our schools are not accessible by foot or bike. Very strange. And I think they very easily can be with the proper planning, so I do think it's going to be an opportunity for us to start down that path.
I mean, there's plenty of room when we're going to eventually do this section, but there's room for sidewalk. And it's all flat and easy. This is,
Well, it seems to have to cross the street, to go over there, and cross back to the street to get to the street. Now, granted, you can take the back road, but I don't know. I think it would definitely be nice to have it, given the proximity of the school.
I mean, I guess if you were, if you're looking at it, really likely that I would be using this sidewalk, if you did a proper crosswalk here as part of the construction, using that sidewalk would be these 7 houses, because anyone coming in from this side would take Lake, and anyone coming this way, from over here, because all these would still cross the street to go over, and then come back until those is done. So, I'm with you, Kelly,
It's a hard one.
I agree that this whole area needs to be more accessible. It was, to put all our kids on one campus and not have it fully accessible is truly insane. Boy, that's a tough add to that project, just because it just creates more paperwork and more time and money and everything else.
I will say that I've reviewed a lot of, over the years, drawings for retail projects, commercial projects, subdivisions, and as part of that, if there's not sidewalk in front of those properties, developers a lot of times don't want to pay for a sidewalk, but at a minimum, I'll say, you know what, if you're not going to go along with it, then we want to grade for it so that it's there at a minimum, but in the future, someone could come and put it in if something happens.
I guess we could, Because this is to amend or do a change order on the design contract, correct?
Yeah, so this would be, when the plans could show it, what needs to be done, we could get bids for grading out to that. And it does buy us a little time. You could, if you want to go talk to the people,
We can take the grading portion and add as a...
you could just do the grading, yeah.
Yeah.
And we could just get a cost for the sidewalk, just the concrete.
So that way we're like, okay, keep going with the design of the street, what have you, and then also throw us a price on if we were to go with the grading at this time. And then, maybe we'll be surprised and they come back and like, $17,000, yeah, oh my God, just put it on there, that's a no-brainer. But if they come back like, it's $1.8 million more for us to grade this all back. Like, kids can cross the street.
I will say that when there's that stop sign agenda item came up, and all these people here signed that petition that they thought the area was unsafe. So,
Yeah, because I'm going to shovel it in the winter.
I know, that's a big part of it. I remember when Maple came up there, everyone signed against it, because they didn't want to have to maintain it.
in 2026, these areas are getting urban street sections, curb and gutter, sidewalks. It's kind of like, this is what you do in an urban area, you put in curb and gutter.
I mean, just that alone is going to make it an incredible amount of difference, because I agree with you, I refuse to walk the dogs down the street, because you're basically on the street. So to have a true curb and gutter and a true delineation of the street would be nice. I mean, I think my opinion is I think we're best, okay, the design portion with the water main, we have to have that go through. And I say we just kind of have them put it as a separate line item for us to consider in the future, not automatically included in the project. That's my opinion. The grading or the whole project? The grading.
I was getting a good vibe from the DOT when I submitted it. They were like excited about it, but then I had to pull it out. So it's definitely a good project.
The Safer Streets one is every year. I feel like this is another one that's eligible for a Safer Streets grant. That's why I think, and you can't really take it serious with those grant applications unless you have the design. Unless it's a design grant.
That's a lot. And I need also a resolution from the village board that they actually would pursue that if they did get that grant.
Which I don't know if we would pursue sidewalks if the grading portion came back astronomical. So I think it's in our best interest to find out what the grading portion is before we kind of push it forward. So do we need an action item on the change order for the water main design?
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess let's start with that one. Right? Yeah. Does anyone want to make a motion on that recommendation to the board?
I move to recommend to the board approval of the $7,000 design for the water main relay.
Motion and a second? Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion carries. And then, thank you. Are we okay? We don't need a motion per se. We could just, that's just a recommendation to have them add the design portion.
Jay, can you ask him if he has a mortgage on this property? Because otherwise his mortgagee has to sign this. Quick.
Steve, you still out there? Do we need to make a motion on having this design done as just a separate line item? Or is that just a recommendation, or direction, I should say?
a recommendation to, it's either 7,000 for the water main and 10,000, yeah, it's an additional 10,000 for the sidewalk design.
But if we're not designing the sidewalk, we're just doing the grading?
They kind of have to do the sidewalk and the grading, they just do a design for that together. So if they don't want to do the sidewalk, the concrete part, that's easy to pull off, but it's already on the plans. Yeah, it's better to just have it all laid on there, because then if we do decide to pursue it, we don't have to design it, and it's all done.
Does anyone make a motion on recommendation for approval of the sidewalk and grading design?
I will make a motion to approve this, when we do getting a quote for sidewalk and grading.
It would be for a change over to add the design for the sidewalk and grading.
I'll make a motion to add a change order for the design and grading.
So a motion, a second, and a second. Further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, let's see. I got it now, finally. All right, now we got discussion of possible action and responsibility for water main repairs at 1357 and 1405 Capitol Drive. Take it away, Dave.
So, on February 12th, 2026, DPW was notified of a water main break over in between Menards and Pick and Save. We went out to take a look at it, and NPL, who's a contractor that does drilling, had bored through a village water main while installing some electrical conduit. We went out there, and they had called, so this was not in a village right away, so we did not need to get a right away permit. It was in a village water main easement area, so they didn't even notify anybody. But they had called Diggers Hotline. Our staff went out there and had marked valves in that area. And they did add in some other additional marks where they thought the water main was, and those were incorrect. We acknowledge that. So that could have misled the contractor. So where the water main was located. However, the water main, they hit the water main where the water main was supposed to be in the water main easement. And if they would have done a plan and like a proper engineer surveyor would have prepared, it would have, and a public records, an engineer would have done a title search and found that we had an easement, a recorded easement available to the public there, that they would have been able to put together a plan showing that they would have hit a water main. However, I don't know if they had that or not, because they were not required to give that to us. So while we were standing there, we said, who's going to call someone to report us? And I said, you guys should report, you bored through it. And then they said, no, we didn't, that's your fault, you had marks over here. And so we really can't sit around arguing about it, because we got to get the water main fixed, because we had to turn it off. So that shut off all the water main to Pick and Save. And everybody starts walking outside, Mexican restaurant, some other place over there. And we called Mid-City, they came and repaired it within a few hours. And I said, hey, you guys should be paying this. They were like, good luck, we're not going to pay it. And I said, okay. So I had done some more research, and that's when I found out that, this water easement was recorded. They might have just been cowboying it, calling the diggers and read through the marks. We don't even know. But we kind of feel it's unfair that we should have to pay for the full cost of this. So we did get some of these contractors, it takes them a while to actually send us the bill, so we just got it. And that was $11,422, which is a lot of money for us. We budget for like 3 water main breaks per year. We're already at like 40,000. Like we budget 30, we're already at spent 40 on 4 breaks this year already. this just puts us like 10,000 over our budget.
It's me.
Yeah, right. Three of those were due to, just like freeze and thaw. And then this one was drilled through. And so I wanted to bring this to the committee to see for a second opinion.
Has policy and procedure been changed to where we don't mark unless we're actually...
Yes. So I've had I've had several meetings with our crew and say, only mark what you know. Don't do any favors, because they were being nice guys. They were trying to think where they thought it was. Well, I acknowledge that. That's what they said. And I said, do not do that. We review what Digger's hotline requirements are, what you're supposed to do, and only marking what you know is what you should do. That's what people do. There's no benefit in being a nice guy and marking where you think it might be.
Right? Diggers, I mean, they do their best with what they have, but, I mean, people will dig up to like an inch away from whatever their spray paint line is, figuring that it is dead on, and that's not always the case. And
these guys have hydro excavating machines, trucks, that they can easily just go right down inside of a valve and figure out if the pipe's going this way or this way. It only takes them a small amount of additional time to do that, and they did not do that.
I'm personally with you on the recommendation to pay Mid-City to keep them happy, because we're going to need them going forward. This isn't our last water main break, I can assure you. And then going after NPL, and then on top of it, like you said, basically blacklisting NPL until this gets resolved.
Okay, because that's what we're going to do. We just even up with Mid-City, we're going to pay them. We're going to probably do it this week. And then we're going to send this bill to NPL. And we hope they please pay it.
Or some of that money at least.
If after a month they haven't paid us, we can say, we'll send them another letter, say, hey, if you don't pay this in another month, we're not going to issue any more regular permits to you.
Yeah.
Did you propose cost sharing with them, like splitting it?
No, we haven't talked.
Well, let's stick with the full reimbursement first, and I mean, that's a tough one. I mean, we wish we had any marks on the ground, and they just hit it.
They take photos and everything, so then they have evidence that we had missed marks, but still.
Yeah, they should have.
If they would have done a plan, I mean, I found that information in 5 minutes. You click on, if you use GIS, and it's really easy. Even if you don't know what you're doing, you can click on GIS parcel, and I can see all the documents that have been recorded against the pick and save piece of land. And then eventually I found an Alta survey, and then the Alta survey showed easements on there. I'm like, okay.
So, does anyone recommend anything differently about matter? No, I think that's the best approach. All right, items 5C, discussion of possible action regarding planned upcoming PFAS wastewater sampling.
So, a few months ago, the village DPW received a notice from the city of Brookfield. So we pump all of our sewage to the city of Brookfield treatment plant. And they sent us a notice saying that they detected high amounts of PFAS coming within our sewage. And so we did meet with Sean and we did meet with the city of Brookfield. We actually first talked to the DNR at one of our conferences and said, hey, how do you think we should handle this? Like, they had some recommendations on how to strategically do testing of sewage at different locations, because now we have to try to find who's dumping this in our wastewater. And so also our wastewater is a combination of City of Pewaukee and LPSD and Village of Pewaukee. And so we've come up with some possibilities of where we're going to focus our testing, and we haven't started yet. But we're lucky that actually our ordinance includes provisions for how to accomplish this testing, and that we can charge the property owners if needed, or if we want to. Now, we don't have, it would have been great if we had sampling manholes on the sewer lines from each industrial property, but we don't think we have hardly any of those in the village, unfortunately, which would allow us to pinpoint and test a specific property. So we have to unfortunately go from manhole to manhole and try to find who's dumping it in there. Each test costs $600. It's unfortunate. Happy industrial customers. So if we can't test a specific, how we're going to allocate that cost, either the village has to just eat that cost.
How many customers are you anticipating it
I
impact?
believe we have like 17 or 30 commercial properties, industrial properties, something like that. I can't remember the number now. Sean knows better than I do.
What is it fine? Is it any commercial industrial use property, or is it?
So PFAS, we've done some looking into it. PFAS, there's like industrial, like manufacturers could probably be most likely to be dumping PFAS in the sewer. They won't name any names, but also cleaning solutions. It's unfortunate, like mop water and things like that can have PFAS in it. And so, but it must be large amounts of it. So it could be anybody if they're dumping that. And once you tell someone that we're going to come test, they're going to stop right away, right? So that's the hard part. And if we don't solve the problem, what's going to happen is the city of Brookfield, we're going to get so much time to fix it or to solve it. And, if we can't, how do we know it's the village? Because we have our own pipe that comes into the city of Brookfield treatment plant.
But it can still come from the city or...
It could come from the city or LPSD too.
Well, that's what I'm saying, so how do they know it's the village? Are the city going to be testing also?
So we talked to the city, yes, the city also, Sean met with the city of Pewaukee, and they're going to be doing their own testing on their commercial areas.
Okay.
We have not talked to LPSD yet.
Commercial areas are no PST system.
They're mostly residential.
Commercial system.
Unless there's somebody running like a carpet cleaning business out of their house or something,
Is that around here?
Or is that like, we would have like commercial chemicals that would be in a residential area.
If we don't find the problem, probably the solution 5 years from now will be that Brookfield will just have to add PFAS filtration, and we're all going to pay higher treatment costs,
Which that's coming up. All right, we just wanted
to let the committee know, in case we start getting angry business owners, which is a possibility, that they come think that we're just cowboys doing whatever we want to do, but, we wanted to bring this to the committee just to let you know ahead of time, in case they complain.
All right, time for Jay to shine. 5D, discussion of possible action regarding phasing out the village ash tree treatments. So you're here to tell us we need to get rid of more trees.
Did my explanation get included in there?
It did.
Okay, all right. So,
If you want to just step up to it's no official agenda item.
yeah. So the village got a late start on this treatment plan. They were roughly 10 years behind in the treatment. And quite frankly, if you don't have your own full-time forestry department, it just doesn't pay to even tackle these. So it's got to the point, even Dave kind of told me too, that maybe we should consider wrapping this up, because every year it's a little bit less and a little bit less, and it's just inevitable. So We're gonna be we're starting the nursery, a gravel bed nursery, and it's just gonna be a matter of just sticking that money into putting new trees in.
Just for curiosity's sake, what would you anticipate replacing the ash trees with? What kind of tree?
Anything that's not, just a large variety. Maples, because in case we get some type of epidemic that comes through and wipes all our maples out again. But it's going to be just a lot of variety. I got plenty of lists that I get from DW and stuff like that they want to, but we're going to start with small barewood trees. You stick them in the ground in the spring, and then by fall, you're already pulling them out. They're only probably about an inch, but they're going to have a huge root ball on the bottom of them from growing in that gravel, and then you can just stick them in the ground, and when they get stuck in the ground and they're small, they'll catch up faster than something that's going to be put in at 2 inches, and they're going to be healthier and everything. So I've got like 800 empty vacant spots now, so this is really the only way we're going to be able to recoup. We tried a number of years ago, we only put like 30 in, and then most of them died, so that's where
It makes sense to me. Me too. I mean, if it's, all we're doing is delaying the inevitable, what's the point of keep paying that? Right? So, I mean, that's another water main we can fix by saving trees, so. Do we need action on that, or is that just an update? That's gotta just be an update, right? Yeah. I don't think we need to take action on you saving the village $10,000. Cool. All right, best of luck in that one. And thanks for starting the nursery, because we're losing a lot of trees in the village. So I watched my neighbor cut down 3 last week. All right, next one. Review and discussion and possible recommendation of the village board for approval of resolution 2026-04, resolution adopting the Public Service Commission of Wisconsin water utility rate. I'm glad we are the board, I guess the first input on this. Matt.
Thank you, Chairman Grabowski. So I don't think that the Public Works and Safety Committee really has a lot of latitude here.
We have 0.
The village applied for a rate adjustment. We began that process, I think, back in '23, perhaps early '24, but it was officially approved by the PSC as a received and acknowledged application July of 2025. And what they do is they collect all sorts of financial information about the utility and use their own formulas to determine what they think we should be charging. And so even though we had applied for a certain rate increase, this is the order that came through. These rates are the order that came through. And the PSC is the state agency that regulates all public water systems in Wisconsin. So per our own ordinance law, it needs to come before this body before it goes to the village board. So it is before you tonight for that reason.
Do you have any news that they came up with higher or lower than what we submitted?
They were higher.
Yeah, as someone who works for a public utility in the state of Wisconsin as well, it doesn't matter what you present, it's what they're going to tell you. And I love to see that the water tariff sheets are just as boring as the electric tariff sheets. So if anyone scrolled through those, and there's nothing you can do on input of this, and I'd like it on record that we all pay this rate just as every other citizen in the village, because they think this money's going into our pockets. Thank you for calling out all the projects that led to this. I think we need to make that more publicly known to the village residents. The millions of dollars that are in the next 5 to 10 years that are leading to this rate increase. So with that, we'll no need further discussion on it, but there's nothing we could change. Looking for a motion then to recommend the approval of a resolution to the village board.
I'll move to recommend to the village board that we approve resolution 2026-04.
Who else wants to test their means to a rate hike in the village in the meeting minutes? Second thought. All right, Nick. Yeah, Nick hates the village residents.
Jim and I have 2 votes on this one, so.
Make sure that's in my minutes.
Let's take a roll call, because I'll vote against it. All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And then lastly, discussion and possible action on village construction project updates. So this is just, we have some time to go through them. I don't know if there was a big write-up on it, or if everyone got through all of them. Does anyone have any questions on them? No. I have one that wasn't on it. Have you heard, which I already know the answer to it, because we're still waiting on the medians for the Oakton crossing, so I'm assuming we're still waiting on the paving permit for the right-of-ways on Oakton and Wisconsin, correct?
We are,
Because those are some
almost really not even a planned project at the moment until we hear back.
I mean, those are starting to really deteriorate after this winter. And I know you guys are out there filling potholes and stuff, but I've had multiple residents, especially the one in Wisconsin, ask, why would you repave all around us and then leave that crappy crossing? And it's like, well, it's not.
Right now, our biggest fish to fry with the railroad is the Cotton Railroad Station. And we don't want to distract them with anything else. Let's only get that first, and then we can worry about anything else.
Okay, so when they...
Distract them, that would mean they'd actually have to be looking at it.
So if and when they ever do approve that, can we respond to it and say, thank you, by the way, can we just... Oh, sure, I'll be glad to do that. Yeah, so as soon as, let's respond to whatever, God willing, approval email we get with an immediate response of, what about this?
Since we have your attention.
Per my last correspondence, all right, does anybody have any other questions regarding the current, and thank you for the update. I know we're going to get it at the village board level too, but that's another one that would be good to get out to the public, just because I'm sure it's, Kelly will be getting those questions about as well, other projects that are out there. No issues with Glacier? At the moment, everything's moving.
There's the issues. There's always issues going on. There's additional costs we're running into out there, yes. Since there wasn't any existing gravel base course out there, unfortunately, so that's going to be a change order. Yeah. They paved asphalt, right, and that's why the road is such a...
Honestly, that's why it makes sense of why the road was so crappy.
The asphalt was right on dirt.
Wow.
So, we are going to incur some additional costs for excavation and stoning. So we had anticipated some undercutting, which is like unplanned digging and filling with large 3-inch traffic bond stone. We had to account for that, but we didn't account for no gravel anywhere. So
The whole stretch.
anywhere outside the curb and gutter, so kind of like in front of the first bar to the village limits. Once you get past the first bar to the village limits, it didn't have any gravel. So,
and is this also including the change order to repave all of Trustee Rody's driveway and President Knudsen's, not just the labor?
doesn't include that. Yeah, it doesn't include that.
All right. Does anybody have any questions on the project updates? No? Cool. All right, item 6, item 6, adjournment. Motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Anyone want a second? Second. Motion and second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed?